Good afternoon. Welcome to AfterWords, where members and followers of the Shrines of the Black Madonna gather together to use our intellectual and spiritual minds to discuss today's message as it relates to the Black experience. You can find today's message and all others posted on YouTube and Facebook every Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please remember to like and subscribe and share this event and all others from the Shrines of the Black Madonna with your friends and family and like-minded folks. I am Ashanti Kaifi. I am your moderator for today. We have with us Pastor Aswad Walker, who delivered today's sermon titled, "We Need Each Other." We also have Brother Olatunji here with us, teacher, professor, historian, reverend, all those great things, a longstanding member of the Shrine. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And if we could dig right into it, Pastor Swat, I must say that message was creative and it had me chuckling a little bit, thinking about a spiritual reference as it relates to the P-Funk.
That's right.
But I got it. And so I said today we're gonna get on the one in this conversation.
That's the place to be.
On the one. And so that message of unity is one that we consistently need to hear, one that we need to consistently remind ourselves, remind our like-minded brothers and sisters of. So can you dig a little bit into the message for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I received the preaching assignment, just trying to figure out what we really need to be talking about. One thing I often do is I look at old sermons, and I looked at several past Pentecost sermons that I preached, but nothing was just really speaking to me. And I was having a conversation with a doctor friend of mine, and throughout that conversation, I just kept using the refrain, we need each other. We need each other. We need the power of the group. And I was like, wow, God is really talking to me. That's what we really need to hear, because we need the group now more than ever. Just when you look at all the ways that Blackness is being attacked, there's just no way that we can face that by ourselves. So that was the genesis of this particular sermon.
Amen. Brother Olatunji, what's going on today and what appears to be missing unity around galvanizing ourselves to protect our interest in relation to what's happening in the world today. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes. First, I want to thank Father Swart for another very powerful message. Simple but poignant and to the point. We need each other. We are reminded in this Pentecost season that the whole concept centers around the struggle of Black nation Israel against white Roman oppression, and that this was a struggle of Black people trying to come together, realizing that we needed each other to defend ourselves against white Roman oppression. Today, we're dealing with very similar issues. Cardinal Swart pointed out very clearly that we have shared experiences. In this age of modern technology, we are very aware of the trouble that we're in. I mean, you got to be hiding under a rock not to see what's going on in America, starting with the failed coup and a continuation to follow up on that by passing all kind of racist legislations that deny and take away rights that we thought we had won during the civil rights era. We find ourselves still struggling for voting rights, still struggling to be able to have a positive education where our own history and culture can be taught to our children through public school systems which we financially support. Still struggling to have representation in cities and localities where we are in the majority, where a clearly right-wing, racist contingent of power in America is turning back the hands of time. So it is very obvious that, as Cardinal Swart mentioned, that neither one of us individually can address all of these dynamics. You run yourself crazy even assuming that you could.
Yeah.
But collectively, we have the skills, the resources, and the potential to be able to address all of these issues. And we're well capable of doing so if we can simply unify, if we can simply find that upper room where we can have the conversations that we need to have to address the issues that face us collectively today.
Amen.
And I wanted to make the point in the sermon that I don't know if I did or not, but that was my goal, that not just unity for unity's sake, because whenever Black folk talk about what we need to do, that's the first thing that's, we need to unify. But our beloved founder, the Honorable Jeremiah Baby Ajman, teaches that it's got to be unity around a program, and you can't get you can't achieve operational unity, to use a phrase by a friend of mine, Kofi Taharka, the national chairman of the National Black United Front. You can't achieve that operational unity without what our beloved founder said are those intimate, intense, powerful spiritual experiences consistently over and over again. That's the only way to break down those walls between us so that we can deal with, the hurt and the drama that is going to come. It's just a part of life. We're not always going to get along, but if we have those experiences undergirding us, we can push past all that so that we can keep our eyes on the prize, on the calling that God has placed on each of our hearts. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a simple, basic message, but I think it's one that we actually need to hear every day.
The things that connect us are stronger than that which divides us, and we should be using that shared connection as our experience to struggle, to advance in the struggle. And
I'm glad you said that, and that's so important, because right now, for most of us, the opposite is true. Those things, we allow those things that divide us to hold more strength than those things that could potentially keep us together.
What I think you were trying to say early on in your message, using the Parliament and the Avengers as examples of that, is that we have to find a way to, and I'm using that word galvanize again, galvanize ourselves together. Like, what is the springboard to put ourselves into action?
Yeah. And so for the Avengers, it was that famous call, right? Avengers Assemble. But there are no magic words that can do that. There's no magic words that can take the place of those intense, consistent spiritual experiences And I'm talking about, yes, worship service, but I'm also talking about, our group meetings that we have when we go beyond just the business at hand and actually, like in the upper room, we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, which means we're trusting those around us. We're sharing our hearts. We're sharing our fears, our highs and our lows. I mean, anyone that's ever been in that type of conversation with somebody, how powerful a bond that can create. And if you do that on a consistent basis, and not just worship service and group meetings, but anytime we come together during fellowships, that can be those bonding experiences during the work that we do, whether you training center cleanup or dining hall assignment or missionary outreach. All those things are opportunities. I mean, to this day, one of my fondest nation memories is going on a missionary outreach trip. And I'm sure Funny Kareem already knows what I'm about to say. So we get back home from this missionary outreach trip, and we were just so energized and fired up that we just started washing cars. I mean, we washed our vehicle. He said, well, hell, let's wash these others. I mean, I don't even remember how many cars that we washed that night. When I say that night, I'm talking about 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We just did not want to leave each other. And, that brings a smile to my heart and spirit every time I think about it. But that's the type of thing, those are the types of things that I'm talking about that can bind us and bond us together, so that we can have the strength to deal with all this madness that is befalling our people.
Amen. What I think I hear you saying is, and you can correct me if I'm headed down the wrong road, but we have to find that love for one another, regardless of where we come from, of who we are. But there is something in our human spirit, which I like to call love, that connects us, and we need to tune into that as our source. Whether you want to call that love, whether you want to call that God, whether you want to call that synergy. I'm sure there's a bunch of other words that we can use for that, but there's something about digging into one another, accepting one another, knowing one another, that I think creates the bond that you're speaking about.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And the way our presiding Bishop Jeramogi Mele Kimathi describes it, he says that that type of love, the action word, goes beyond liking somebody. In fact, you don't even have to like someone to show them that type of love, the love that will allow you and this other person to work together for this greater good. And I just really appreciate the way he broke that down, because that makes love, or at least for me, make so much more sense and have so much more meaning than love everybody, which is literally impossible, but we continue to say it anyway. But love, like you're describing it, Sister Shanti, and the way our presiding bishop, it's a way of, I mean, really simply, it's just, treating others the way you want to be treated, being able, like India Arie, her song, I See the God in You, seeing that and honoring that, whether I like you or not. I'm going to honor the God that's in you by treating you the way I want to be treated. And if we can do that, man, we, no power formed against us, no weapon formed against us shall prosper.
Amen. Because we need each other.
We need each other.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
One nation under a groove. Getting down just for the funk of it. Come on now.
I like it. It looks like you have reached your destinations. I know you have other commitments this Sunday. I thank you for your presence and bringing a little bit deeper perspective on the message that was delivered on this beautiful Sunday. Thank you. We do appreciate you so much.
All right. Love y'all. God bless.
Amen.
Amen. Brother Olatunji.
One of the points that the good Reverend brought up is that as a Pan-African organization, we are not starting from scratch. We have 70 years of nation building experience, and we are an international organization working on a commitment to bring Black people together to address all of the issues that concerned us wherever we may be. And as we, in the spirit of the season, come back together in our own institutions, recovering from a pandemic experience that physically separated us, but spiritually we are still as on the one. And nationally and internationally, we're coming back together. We see the trouble that we're in, and we are coming back together so that we can rebuild. And we have shown that we're ready and able to work with other brothers and sisters, regardless of their religious beliefs or political beliefs, as long as they believe in some basic principles that all Black people can embrace, providing culturally relevant education for our children, providing quality food for our families,
Yes.
providing quality homes where we can live. Those are basic ideas that, regardless of your political or religious belief, as Black people, all of Black people embrace. And so on the basis of those ideas, we can work collectively together. We can come together, pool our skills and resources, and address those issues, and not be dependent on a society that's clearly opposed to those things that will help us as a people.
Amen. Because that phrase, we need each other, doesn't just apply to those in our group, in the Shrines of the Black Madonna, right? That says that we need other organizations who, as you just phrased it, are like-minded, have the same goal, understand the problem, and want to be solution-oriented, right? We all collectively need each other to tackle the problems that are facing us today. I don't think any one organization can do that alone. And I think once we realize that, and we begin to form those bonds that Pastor Aswad was talking about earlier, there would be no stopping Black people when we come together in that way. I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when. I think that there's enough history that points us in the right direction on how to do that, right? And so I think when we study our history, when we pay attention to what's happening in the world today, when we come together with like minds, like hearts, like spirits, we can certainly tackle what's and defeat the oppression that is being raised against us in today's world. But we have to, I think, raise awareness to our people and how what is going on affects them directly. I think sometimes people are overwhelmed by what we see and what we hear, and we feel like we can't do anything as an individual. But when we come together, which is, as you said, the Shrine has 70 plus years of being on the one, knowing that when we come together, we can do all things. And so I think that is the message we end today's conversation with. I thank you so much, Brother Olatunji. I thank you to our audience for spending your time here with us today. We certainly hope that we gave you something to take away with you. To our panelists for your insight and your commitments to teaching our people, thank you so very much. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share all Shrine events that are posted on YouTube and Facebook. And I wish everyone a beautiful Sunday and enjoy your week. And we will see you next Sunday on AfterWords.